Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and over the course of the past couple months, it feels like, the entire situation involving Evergreen State College in Olympia, Washington, which I'm not going to lie is like 4 miles away from where I live, has been an insane one to witness. The townies here hate it. They hate the way that they've been viewed in the national spotlight. They hate the fact that these students have been given carte blanche to act like complete fucking assholes, and they are sick and tired of it. And us getting an accurate representation of what went down in the school has been one that's been kind of hard to get, because no one who goes there outside of Professor Weinstein has really stepped up to talk about the climate on college campus until now. And this is coming from Michael Zimmerman, who's a contributor to the Huffington Post. And I'm fully aware that the Huffington Post being a source for this is probably going to be a little bit odd for some, but the article is insane. I'm not going to go through all of it. That would take like an hour to read through and comment on everything. But what I do want to go through is what he essentially asserts as a timeline of events going into what led up to the protest and maybe why things happened the way that they happened. And this is a very interesting read, and one that I fully recommend you guys go through from start to finish. I just want to highlight a couple points that I found as a way to kind of discuss what possibly led into this protest at the end of May, which is odd because the emails that Professor Weinstein sent completely challenging the day of absence and what form it took for this year wasn't met with any kind of angst until nearly 2 months after it was sent. So there's a theory I'm working with on that one as well, but we'll run through this here. So in the article titled "Evergreen State College Implosion: Are There Lessons to Be Learned?" Michael Zimmerman brings up an interesting point here, saying, For we need to go back to the beginning of the 2016-2017 academic year. Evergreen's academic year begins with an all-campus convocation. That event includes a talk by the author of a book all incoming students read over the summer. This year, a number of students attempted to take over the convocation and refused to permit the speaker to address the campus community. President Bridges managed to convince the students that they'd have a chance to be heard after the college's invited guest spoke. Afterward, the president sent out a note to the full campus community apologizing for his actions, saying that he should have let the students speak when they wanted, and that their voices were every bit as important as the author of the Common Read. Yeah, okay. So students are upset that there's a speaker on campus that they disagree with, or I don't even know if they disagree with the guy. They just attempted to take it over. Okay, that's been the mindset in these liberal colleges that's been pushed forward by all these protests that get all this national attention, and the college campuses and the administration just kind of like bend over and take it up the rear. That happens a lot in these cases, and so you can kind of see like where this was kind of bubbling at from just the start of the year. And then of course President Bridges, who, let's be fair here, President Bridges is that problem on campus. He is the person that has fostered this environment. He is the person that should be removed from his position. And that's not a phrase I put out there lightly. Most people who follow my channel know I rarely ever call for someone to be terminated, but you can see that his actions and also inactions in enabling of these certain mindsets allowed for this protest to take place the way that it did. The fact that he sent out a letter apologizing, well, I should have been better. I should have let the students speak when they wanted to, because clearly their voices are as important as the author, which is not inaccurate. But at the same time, he's an invited guest. He's given that platform. He's given that time to speak. It's not the students' time to speak, but that, when it comes to social activism, never really applies. Look at Bernie Sanders in 2015 having BLM Seattle run up and take over the mic, and Bernie just kind of giving it to them. However, with that particular situation, that actually propelled Bernie into the spotlight, so there's no wonder he never bitched about it, because it actually benefited him. You've also got situations involving Milo Yiannopoulos on college campuses, where Black Lives Matter runs up and takes the mic from him and threatens violence against Milo in a very much intimidating way. This is the mindset of these liberal, extreme liberal people. I don't want to call them just liberals, because they do not fall within that curve. They are clearly far left. But it is a mindset and actions that have been propagated and encouraged by people like President Bridges of Evergreen State College by not just slapping him on the hand and telling him no. Now, it says here, fast forward to the day following the 2016 presidential election. 2 campus events were scheduled for that day, a Board of Trustees meeting and the dedication of the newly remodeled and renamed Purse Hall. Students upset by the election surrounded the trustees and berated them for their racist attitudes. The meeting was canceled, and hours later the building dedication was similarly disrupted, despite the fact that Purse Hall was named for Evergreen's immediate preceding president, an African American who served as president for 15 years. Despite the chaos associated with both events, no students were brought up on disciplinary charges. And that, again, is a big problem in these situations of disruption, of trying to shut these things down or just break up whatever's going on. No one ever faces any kind of disciplinary charges. No one is ever taught that in the real world this shit should not happen. You are a college student. You should have the decorum and the skill to wait until the right time instead of trying to always break shit up so you can get that most attention. And the thing is, that attention, most of the time being negative, works for them. I'm not going to lie. I add into that problem as well. I talk about these things. I draw attention to these things. I have a platform of which I do that, a platform of which I make a living doing that. And so, yes, there's very much kind of an odd cottage industry with that. But at the same time, the people on the ground, the people that are having direct interaction with these activists, with these students, need to be the ones to stand up and make that change. They need to be the ones that stand up and go, whoa, wait. Y'all need to stop. All right, this is not productive. You're not getting anything done. You're being idiots. And that's pretty much what they need to do, but they don't do it. And this again shows you just how fucking crazy they are. They disrupted an unveiling or a renaming of a hall for an African American who was the president of the college campus for 15 years. So at a liberal arts college in a very liberal state, probably the most liberal arts college in the state of Washington, and I'm like right next to it, which still boggles my goddamn mind. You have a black guy who ran the school for 15 years, and when a hall is being named after him in respect for what he's done and I guess you say in memoriam for what he's done. Memoriam sounds like the wrong word, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. As a result of that, they disrupt this event. Right. Again, very similar with Black Lives Matter Toronto last year, disrupting a police mural unveiling in the city for the LGBT community as a way to bridge the gap. They show up and they disrupt these peaceful events that are meant to kind of harmonize situations or bring about harmony. They do that because that's where they get the most attention, and no one ever tells them no. Now it says, fast forward to the installation of Evergreen's new police chief, Stacey Brown, herself a graduate of Evergreen, early in winter quarter. This event too was disrupted by students, and during the disruption, the vice president for student affairs was pushed and a microphone was wrestled from her hands. She was almost knocked to the ground by 2 students. Because of the way the vice president was treated, disciplinary proceedings commenced against 2 students who pushed her. No other student faced disciplinary consequences for the disruption. And this again is led into what we've seen coming out of the whole Bret Weinstein situation. The campus police was told to effectively stand down. Do not engage, do not arrest, do not even carry guns, blah, 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 blah. And that was why they pushed back on the gun, saying like, no, we have to be armed. People don't realize that campus police are not like security guards. They are a legitimate police force. You have your sheriff, your state patrol, and then you've got your campus police. If I recall correctly, those are the 3 branches essentially. You have your city police, and the sheriff is kind of one state patrol, highway patrol, whatever you want to call it, and then campus police. But they are a police force, a legitimate police force. And they oftentimes, people don't know that. They don't get that at all. But still, you had a situation where students ran up to the podium and almost knocked the vice president for student affairs down while trying to wrestle a microphone away. And those 2 students were brought up on disciplinary charges, but it doesn't say what they got. It should have been immediate expelling. They should have been expelled immediately and then not been allowed to return. That's an act of violence against an administrator at a ceremony. It doesn't matter if it's for fucking activism purposes or not. Now, this last piece here says, fast forward to the week prior to the protests. There was an ongoing, mostly online discussion among students about limiting a program to be taught the following fall to students of color. So you have students online who go to Evergreen saying like, wait, we should probably make sure that this particular program is only taught to students of color. Right? You notice how like the racial segregation is now really brewing from the left? right? Like the left 50 years ago was like, down with segregation, down with Jim Crow, down with all this. And then now it's all of a sudden like, yes, 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 we need more Jim Crow. We need that because that's what they want. It's so weird to see that turn, that curve, the regressive nature come out to play, and it's being championed by people like President Bridges, who are allowing this mindset to continue. Instead of preaching unity and inclusion and actual true equality, equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. And instead it's no, blacks only dorms, blacks only classes, blacks only education. Like, this is the world. Okay, one student objected, asking how it would appear if the reverse were ever to be the case, which is always a good argument to make, if a program were limited to white students. The program in question was to be taught by the faculty member who publicly called Professor Weinstein a racist. And there was a lot more about that person in this thing as well, but we're not going to get into that. The student raising the objection received a good deal of abuse, and then he claimed he was physically confronted in the cafeteria. The student himself, a student of color, went to the campus police department to file a complaint against the two students he said assaulted him. The police began an investigation later that evening, and one of the students interrogated was the leader of the protest that soon followed. Given that one of the complaints raised by the protesters was that the police were targeting certain individuals, black trans students in particular, and given the students accused of pushing vice president and accosting the student in the cafeteria were black trans individuals, it seems reasonable to assume that the protests were in part designed to deflect unwanted attention for possibly inappropriate actions. Now, this is the person I believe that they're referring to. If you've watched any of the videos right here, this gentleman, this black trans person, I don't quite know, but this guy is the one who was holding the president hostage, essentially, the one barking orders. This is from when they were patrolling around the school with bats and tasers, and like their community patrol. They were legitimately doing this. And actually, it even says here that we are aware of a small group of students coordinating a community patrol of housing and campus. We acknowledge and understand the fear and concerns that are motivating these actions. We also understand that these students are seeking to provide an alternative source of safety from external entities, as well as those community members who they distrust. So you have campus police, which are a legitimate police force that are on campus to patrol, to protect, to serve, all that jazz. And what instead you get are a bunch of people walking around with baseball bats and tasers as a community patrol, and it's been argued that these people have been acting out as kind of like thugs to block anyone from speaking out against the protest. Like I said, the townies here in Olympia, Washington, the townies outright hate this situation. They find it embarrassing, they find it ridiculous, and they do not all share the beliefs of Evergreen. Evergreen itself is very rescinded back. Right? Like you get off the 101 freeway, you take a turn, and it's still like a couple miles back is where the campus is. It's very isolated in that regard. There's not much out there. I drive by it all the time. There's not much there. And so these students are kind of isolated in their own world, and they're brought back from society and in some respects reality, and that's what we're seeing here coming out of the situation. But to kind of bring this point home, to give you an idea of what kind of speech we're dealing with here, or how they handle speech they dislike, there's an event that occurred the week following the student protests, right? That this one is now being talked about, that provides yet another example of what free speech means on Evergreen campus. Unrelated to any of the activities that had taken place, a small group of Christian fundamentalists came to campus, as they do every year, and as they do on virtually every campus, and began reading Bible verses. The following paragraph comes from a note the Vice President for Student Affairs sent the campus community, praising the community's response to these visitors, saying, "During the counter demonstration, many of the students who engaged did so in reasonable ways to respond to the speech of the demonstrators that they found objectionable and hurtful." What were the reasonable ways? The students responded. The videos of the incident show students surrounding those preaching and shouting at them, making it impossible for anyone to hear what they were saying. The administrative message from this is very clear. Freedom of speech is only for speech of which you agree, and aggressively silencing those for whom you disagree with is fair game. And that summarizes Evergreen State College. That really does summarize what's been happening. Yes, the title of this video is How Evergreen Cucked Itself, which is not the most objective title out there, I will fully admit, but it makes sense. You look at what's gone on from a person, Michael Zimmerman, who was there during this academic year watching these events unfold. And keep in mind, this is not just like this year's the problem. This is years leading into the problem, years of this, years of these regressive mindset students going to Evergreen and having these thoughts, not only validated, but enthused, encouraged. And when they do stuff that is wrong, like assaulting other students, they go and they attack other people. I mean, the idea proposed here that these protests against Bret Weinstein were to draw attention away from the fact that black trans students were becoming violent and verbally assaultive on campus grounds is an interesting one. I would argue that the fact that it took 2 months for Bret Weinstein's letter to hit the protest, to hit that fever pitch, is one that probably had to do with maybe someone on the staff. In this article, they do talk about another professor. There were 2 professors that called Bret Weinstein a racist for not only objecting against the day of absence, but other aspects of this new gender equity committee that professor or that President Bridges put into place, and the mantra there was, you know, you can either get in the canoe or get left behind. In the way Bret Weinstein, you know, he calls it essentially an unstoppable train, and that's what's been going on here. And this is the mindset that President Bridges has been fostering on Evergreen campus. It is time for him to go. It is time for these students to be snapped to reality, to see precisely what's going on. These are snowflakes that are acting out in the worst way. And this is the mindset that we've seen in other acts as well. You know, the protests in Portland, the protests in Washington, the protests in Berkeley, Antifa showing up. This is where Antifa is bred. In places like Evergreen State College. This is where Antifa grows. And even there were like Antifa actions not too long ago here in Olympia. And there's been talks about there being some other incident tomorrow on the 4th of July. I don't know what's going to happen with the situation. All I know is that it's time for people to step up and shout these ideas down. These people, these regressives, these students, they attack the person. They don't attack the idea. They attack the person. You, or we, as I guess you could say, like the opposition, the counterpoints, have to attack the ideas. All right, because the people feel that they're personally being attacked when that's not the case. And so arguing around that's going to be tough, but that's kind of where things are. And you could say that the commentator community on YouTube or the skeptic community on YouTube are getting to that point now where fighting back against this kind of stuff, fighting back against this, and then like the alt-right is going to be the next wave of where things go. And that's because rationality, logic, reasonability, discussion, open dialogue. Was it like dialectic? Dialectic. If I mispronounce that word, people will tell me in the comments. All right. You know, it's the idea of listening and discussing is what I'm trying to say. That's got to be the next rational step. And unfortunately, while stuff like Evergreen continues to happen completely unabated, then we're going to find ourselves seeing more and more and more of these around the country, and we already have been for the last couple of years, but this is probably the one that is going to kick off a lot for the 2017-2018 year. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comments below. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please comment below. Please subscribe. Make sure to hit that bell so you guys get notifications. YouTube unsub glitch is still really big. Also, right now, the Adpocalypse 2.0 is happening. So if you guys want to support the channel, Patreon's a great way, or the Amazon affiliate ad that's going to run after this is a great way too. Thanks, guys, for everything. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Peace out. If you're looking to shoot a great vlog or take some fantastic photos, the Canon PowerShot G7X Mark II is the camera for you. Affiliate link in the video description.